this stuff is getting real crazy with the radical left and the radical right. So now you have a situation that occurred in Dallas where you had a sniper that was on the roof, fired indiscriminately into some ICE agents' car, killing 3 ICE detainees, right? So now, again, you just had a sniper that unalived Charlie Kirk from 200 yards out, right? And they saying that this guy, they tried to say that this guy was on the radical left, but we found out that he was allegedly a former groyper on the radical right. And his family was Trump supporters, right? Now they saying that this guy's on the radical left. They found bullets with anti-ice on there. I mean, it's just, he was also a sniper, right? So, like I said, this stuff is going crazy with the back and forth between the radical left and the radical right. Here's what the news is reporting.
Former FBI special agent and Fox News contributor. I mean, as you hear Chad Wolf lay that out, I mean, that is specific. What else should we know at this point? What are we looking at?
I do think that that's absolutely critical to the investigation is the anti-ICE sentiments written on the shell casings, and we are seeing a pattern of that. We saw, writings on shell casings with Mangione, with the Charlie Kirk tragedy, things of this nature. It's becoming common. People are getting inspired by others, and I appreciate Senator Ted Cruz, very, very strong, saying this will not be tolerated. This has got to stop. Some things that I picked up on, Harris, as a former FBI agent. The FBI will take lead of this investigation because it was an attack on a federal facility and an attack potentially on federal officers, these ICE officers. Having done prisoner transport, obviously a little bit different. I know that when I've done prisoner transport to the federal detention center and in Miami, for example, we pull in our vehicle with the subject in the back of the car. We pull into the Sally Port and there's literally a gate that comes down before we get out of our vehicle. So it looks like maybe the ICE facility in Dallas has a different sort of protocol there that this individual is able to haphazardly fire to a van. So again, their target, they don't even seem to have had eyes on the target. They were just firing at whoever was in the van. And earlier you had on Trey Gowdy, who asked a very good question about motive. But I think as a result of the press conference, it is probably a target on the ICE officers and not on the individuals that were being processed.
Here's something new that is just coming in. My team is telling me this now. To make your point, Nicole, it was an unmarked, hard-sided van. So the fact that there were detainees in it, probably not known, or heavily perhaps not known by the person who was firing, because it was difficult to see who would have been in that van. Finish your point. I just wanted to get that in there.
You are exactly right, Harris. That is a very, very important point to the investigation. Again, a lot of times these are, like you said, an unmarked van. This is something that when they're doing these ERO operations, I know that the FBI has helped with many of them. It's kind of an all hands on deck with Trump's platform and getting rid of those that are not here legally. Most of the time the hits are earlier in the morning. And so this person, again, without knowing, may know the pattern and may have been keeping an eye on this ICE facility and knowing, okay, they typically do these processings early in the morning. So they'll do a full investigation to this individual when they were typically seen around the facility, if they were seen around doing surveillance leading up to this tragedy. But it will be an FBI investigation. I do know that the FBI's evidence response team from the Dallas field office is on the ground at the facility processing the crime scene. This will be an all hands on deck. Obviously, the subject is deceased with a gunshot wound, so this will not be going to trial potentially, but don't kid yourself. The FBI is going to do a full investigation to see if this individual is linked to anybody else. And we've been talking about this constant attacks on ICE. This is unacceptable. It cannot continue to happen in our country. These are officers that are putting their lives on the line every single day.
So this is them, this is just all kinds of issues going on. But for some reason, when these things happen, they always find some way to boomerang this back to the black community, and they end up blaming us. You end up having all these radical people on the right coming over and getting at us. Now, I want to say something, right? Because there's a lot of talk about the alt-right, right? But nobody ever talks about the alt-left. And the reason why I'm saying it, because I'm a foundational black American. And whenever something happened on the left side, we're so associated with being on the left with the Democrats, we get linked in with that, right? When you had the riots and you had Antifa and all these groups going through cities, tearing stuff up and wilding out, right? And they were doing things that the radical right can point out. There are things that the radical left can point out. And there's a war going on between them two. It has nothing to do with us. Black people, we go to the polls, we vote, we go home, right? We're not tearing up cities and all that kind of stuff. These things is happening there is a radical left and a radical right. I'm going to sit here and I'm going to tell the truth, right? And black people, we are not affiliated with that, right? You have the hardcore feminist groups and a radical left. And they just as crazy as the radical right, man, right? But for some reason, whenever something like this happens, the reason why it's boomeranging back to the black community, because we got to separate ourselves from that radical left, man. You could be on the left, but we ain't part of all that bull crap that they taking part in. So it says September 24th, 2025, Dallas, Texas, a 29-year-old man. I want to correct something. All 3 detainees didn't die. One of them did. I made a mistake. I misspoke when I earlier was speaking in the video, right? A 29-year-old man, Joshua Jahns, is suspected of firing a rifle indiscriminately into an ICE facility in Dallas. Jane or whatever struck 3 ICE detainees in an unmarked transport van before killing himself around 7 a.m. One detainee died. He was found dead on a nearby rooftop. September 19, 2025 in Broadview, Illinois, right? A large group of anti-ICE rioters gathered outside of ICE processing center in Chicago's suburb early in the morning, blocking the driveway to the facility while a white SUV attempted to exit. The rioters gathered in front of the vehicle in an attempt to block it from leaving. Tear gas and non-lethal munitions were deployed to control the crowd. One man was subdued when he allegedly picked up the tear gas canister and threw it back towards the agents. Right? So you got all kinds of foolishness. All kinds of foolishness going on right now, man. And listen, people are being harmed, right? But let's further listen more of what they're saying in regards to this case now.
Hello, everybody. I'm Heather Hayes. Welcome back to our breaking news coverage.
And I'm Casey Siegel. Thank you for joining us across Fox Local and our other digital platforms as we continue to monitor this developing situation in Dallas County, a shooting at an ICE detention center.
So that shooter opened fire about 6:30 this morning, firing a rifle from the roof of a building near the Immigration and Customs Enforcement location. This is 35 at Empire Central in Dallas. The gunman fired rounds into an unmarked ICE vehicle that was transporting detainees.
2 ICE detainees were killed and a 3rd was wounded. The numbers have been quite fluid as this has developed since this morning. The gunman, we can tell you, is dead, and sources have identified the shooter as 29-year-old Joshua Jahns. The FBI says the suspect wrote anti-ICE messaging on bullets, and they are calling it a targeted attack.
But there are still a lot of questions. How long the attack was planned, what motivated that suspect, so much to answer. But here's what we can tell you. We do know that law enforcement has arrived at multiple homes connected, they say, possibly to that shooter.
Yep, we've got a location in North Texas, also one in Oklahoma. One is in Durant, Oklahoma. That's about 20 minutes or so north of Denison. And that's where we find Fox 4's Stephen Dial, who is reporting live for us with the latest on the ground in Oklahoma. Hey, Stephen, what are you seeing there?
Casey, we just got here on the ground to Durant, Oklahoma, and behind me is just one police unit. We don't know how many units actually are down this road. The home that is tied to this investigation is further down that road, but we came here from Fairview, which is outside of McKinney. And at that location, we saw someone who was believed to be family members arrive at the home and then go in. Now we know, and we've shown from Sky 4 for some time, that the FBI is on the ground there in Fairview. And here in Durant, we have not seen many law enforcement officials yet, but that does not mean they could be down the road. We've only been here for about 20 minutes. And so we know that this home is tied to the gunman, but we don't know in what way. We don't know where the gunman came from before that deadly shooting that happened in Dallas earlier this morning. And so we don't know if this is just a part of the investigation as far as them searching known addresses, or if the shooter indeed possibly drove from Oklahoma. That has yet to be determined. And so right now we are waiting to see if more law enforcement will arrive here. You saw 2 officers get out of that vehicle right there, that is a county sheriff's vehicle. That's not a federal official. So we're waiting to see if federal officials come. When we were actually in Fairview, Casey and Heather, when we were there were no law enforcement officials there. And then when we left, the FBI arrived, and I was able to capture some images of those family members walking into that Fairview home. They were kind of frantic, and we spoke to a neighbor off camera who said that family had multiple young adult sons, which adds up to the age of this gunman here in the incident that happened earlier this morning. And he also knew the family's last name, which matches up to the last name of the gunman. So we are waiting here in Durant, Oklahoma, to try to see what or how important this location is behind us, as to if there is any evidence that can link to why this happened and how this happened, and if there were any planning ahead of time before this deadly shooting.
Well, Stephen, you talked about you talked to a neighbor there, and I know that's one of the things you do when you get to a scene is you talk to the neighbors. I guess a couple of questions. A, sort of describe this neighborhood. Looks like there's probably a lot of distance between the homes. And B, if you have had the opportunity to talk to any folks there, or if people are coming out of their houses to share information with you.
Right. So there's only about, from my view, about 3 homes along this road. It's off of a dirt road, off 75 the way we came. But the home is further back. If you were to look on Google Maps, it's a large property, and so we don't know what connection it is to the gunman, but we know this is one of those known addresses, but we don't know if he came from that address today or sometime in the planning stages of this shooting. So in this area, I mean, we're next to a person, but not much milling about. Now in that Fairview location, that was a more residential type area.
Now, when they talk about these acts of violence on police, acts of violence on government officials, who are they talking about? Who are they talking about? Because last I checked, all these situations have been white on white violence. Vance Bolter was a white man. Timothy Robinson is a white boy, right? This guy is white. The guy that's supposed to got Trump, right? That's supposed to unlock the stuff was white. All these people were white. But for some reason, you get all these trolls on the right. They come into black spaces and want to troll us and blame us, and they so upset with us. Oh, we can't believe that they're upset for mocking Charlie Kirk's unaliving and Charlie Kirk's death. No, they're not talking about this W supremacy that's happening, that's affecting them, because they're fighting amongst each other. It has nothing to do with us. It has nothing to do with us. So you have these ICE detainees getting unalive, and now they got bullets. They got bullets with engravings on the bullets. Right, so now you have this thing where they say these people on the left, they doing these killings, they leaving guns with engravings on it and let everybody, markings to let everybody know that they did it. Now, during the COVID riots, when you had all these riots across America, people, those were W folks. I'd never seen these W folks in West Philly before, Southwest Philly. They was just coming up out of nowhere. By 2001, they was nowhere to be found. You didn't see them no more. You didn't see them no more, right? Where were they? Who were they? Right? Who was funding them? So it's just a whole lot of things that come into play, man. It's just a whole lot of things. When you got your president coming on TV, blaming the radical left, you got people on the left blaming the radical right, and they doing statistics. It's just, man, this thing, black folks, foundational black Americans, sit this one out. Sit it out. Mind your business. Stay off to the side, get your popcorn, watch the show. But do not get involved in this stuff, man, because this is crazy. Then you got radical right conservatives going up to HBCUs for what? What do we got to do with it, right? All that stuff is political theater and for show to agitate the situation even more. That's all it is. But I'm going to tell you guys something in closing. Stay away from the radical left, because there is a radical left. And they keep mixing the black community up with these people that we're not affiliated with. Just because you vote Democrat or you on the left, you don't have to be a part of that, man. So I just man, listen. Rest in peace to those detainees, man, that got unalive, man. It's real bad. But I'll say, listen, black folks, stay out of it, man. Stay out of it. There's a beef going on between the radical left and radical right, and lives are being lost, man. This thing is very serious, man. So be careful. But I'm going to cut this video short here. If you made it this far in the video, hit that like button, subscribe to Street Media TV. Leave your comments in the comment section. Let me know what you guys think. Remember, I love y'all. Till the next time. Peace.